Hi, my name's Sarah DeBorre. Welcome to Sarah DeBorre Yoga. I'm going to be taking you through a slow Vinyasa flow today from the surrounds of my property in regional Victoria. So just outside of Heathcote actually, which is pretty much sort of straight north up from Melbourne and a little bit west, kind of ducking in towards Bendigo if you know where that is. And as you may have seen from some of my other classes and videos on YouTube, I am living on 37 acres, currently living in a shed. My husband and I are building a small shipping container home, and bless you, Jess. Jess, our dog, is hanging out keeping us company. Right in front of me, so behind the camera, is the site of our house. So I'm actually looking at one of the shipping containers, and the view behind me is going to be the view off of our front deck eventually. So a long way to go, but it's an exciting process nonetheless. I'm going to get you to start in Supta Baddha Konasana today. So laying down on your back when you're ready and taking the soles of the feet to touch, knees drop out wide. Hi Jess. I think Jess is after some shade. So coming down to the mat, closing your eyes and maybe taking your hands to rest gently on your belly. I'm just going to get my hair out of the way. And if Supta Baddha Konasana doesn't feel right for your body today, then by all means, extend your legs straight out in front of you. Taking just a couple of moments to drop in on the mat here. And just letting go of anything that's already happened today. So even if it's the morning or if it's the afternoon, just leaving all of that behind and really dropping into being on your mat. So feeling the texture of the mat underneath you where the skin might be touching it. And we'll take a deep breath in through the nose. Part the lips and sigh it out. Once again, deep breath in through the nose. Let's do it once more. Breath in through the nose, all the way to the pit of the belly. And sighing it out through the mouth. And just dropping back into your natural breath in and out of the nose. Taking the hands to the outer thighs now. Let's draw those knees into the chest for a little cuddle. Hands are on the front of the shins. Little massage of the lower back, rocking from side to side. And bringing the soles of the feet now to the mat. We'll come through our reclined figure four, so right ankle crosses over the left knee and threading that hand or hands around the front of the left shin or the back of the left knee and reclining back to the mat. Alternatively, you can just leave that left foot sitting on the mat. Releasing that left foot to the mat and just leaving the legs as they are. We're going to take our arms out to a T. Let's shimmy the hips over just a tad to the right, and we're going to drop those legs over to the left into a twist. Keeping the right shoulder plugging down into the mat. You might take your gaze over that left shoulder if it's comfortable on your neck. Inhale, legs back up through center and taking the right sole of the foot back to the mat, wiggling the hips back into center. Left ankle crosses over the right knee, maybe staying here or taking it a little deeper by threading the hands and taking clasp of the right shin or the back of the knee and bringing the head and shoulders back to the mat. And now releasing that right foot back to the mat, arms out to a T, and just wiggle those hips over a little bit to the left so that we have more space to drop our knees over to the right. Maybe taking the gaze over the left shoulder if that's comfortable on the neck. And today we'll be taking a slow Vinyasa flow, as I mentioned earlier, and we'll be working into a few twists. It's always nice to twist through the body. And we'll be working on our standing balance of Warrior 3. Bringing the legs back up through center, soles of the feet come back to the mat. And we'll actually just come through a few rounds of rolling bridge to begin with. So setting the feet up underneath the knees. And we're going to, one vertebrae at a time, peel the tailbone up and off of the mat as we take the hips up. And on the exhale, lowering back down again. One vertebrae at a time. Inhale, tailbone peels up, glutes engage. And exhale to release. You might like to get those arms into the movement, so inhale as we come up, and exhale coming back down. Inhale lifts the hips, and exhale to lower. One more, inhale to lift, and exhale to lower. Hugging those knees back into the chest. We'll use a little bit of momentum just to rock up and over into our tabletop. On all fours, go away, fly. Hands underneath our shoulders, knees in line with hips. Breath in to dip the belly, gaze comes up. And exhale to tuck everything under. Inhale, dip the belly, gaze lifts. And exhale, tucking everything under. 3 more in your own time. When you finish that final round, just settling back into neutral. And we're going to take that left leg out behind us, kicking that nice and strong, left toes flex down. So holding here, we're going to take some little pulses up in the air. So we're really working to strengthen that left glute, should I say. So when we're ready, let's raise the left leg and slowly lower. Raise and lower. Raise and lower. So that left glute is really switched on. Raise and lower. Raise and lower. One more. And bringing that knee back down to the mat. Right leg now extends behind us, really engaging that right glute. And we're going to raise just a few centimeters and lower. Raise and lower. Raise and lower. Oh no, all the flies are coming out now. Raise and lower. 2 more. One more, I've lost count, sorry. And knee back down. One more round of cat-cow. Breath in, dip the belly. And exhale to tuck everything under. Coming back to neutral, let's tuck those toes and push up to our downward facing dog. You might need to readjust that stance and take any movement that feels good for your body. Fingers are spread nice and wide and they're plugging down into the mat. Taking a generous bend in the knees. Let's take a slight bend to the elbows and then we're going to bring those elbows down towards the mat so we're wrapping our armpits in and straightening the arms. And now let's straighten any amount through those legs. So remembering that in down dog, depending on how tight your hamstrings are, you might have a really generous bend in the knees, like I'm demonstrating now, and this is totally fine to be this way in down dog, or you might be straightened through those legs. Let's slowly stroll to the top of our mat. And inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold and taking hold of opposite elbows now hanging in ragdoll. Letting go of any tension in the head, neck and shoulders. Maybe nodding your head yes, shaking it no. And taking a bit more of a bend in those knees so that the tummy drapes over those legs. Releasing the hands to the mat. Slowly, one vertebrae at a time, we're going to ripple up to standing. Reaching your arms up and overhead when you get there. And taking clasp of the fingers above your head. Engage the glutes, draw the belly in, breath in, and exhale, let's lean to the right. Inhale back through center, and exhale, leaning to the left. Inhale back through center, making sure those glutes are really fired up, and exhale, leaning to the right. Inhale back through center, and exhale once more to the left. Inhale back through center, releasing the hands through heart center, your Anjali Mudra. And inhale, arms reach back up. Exhale to fold all the way down to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Now, we're coming into our chair pose, Utkatasana, so you can keep your feet hip distance apart for more stability, or alternatively, you can take a more traditional chair stance by bringing the big toe mounds to touch with a gentle gap between the heels. Inhale, fingertips sweep the mat, and let's sit back into our Utkatasana chair. Making sure that there's that tuck of the tailbone so that we're nice and straight through the spine. Arms reach up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. And on your next exhale, let's twist to the right, hooking the left elbow on the right knee, using that leverage to really work into the twist. Looking down at what your knees are doing and making sure that that left knee isn't jutting out in front and they're both somewhat in alignment. One more breath. And inhale, arms reach up. Let's stand all the way up. Exhale, hands through heart center. And once again, let's sit back into that chair. Fingertips brush the mat, reaching up for the sky, tucking the tailbone. Hands come to heart center, Anjali Mudra. And we're twisting to the left this time. So the right elbow hooks on the left knee as we draw ourselves into that twist. Making sure that right knee this time isn't jutting out. And inhale to release, standing tall, stretching all the way up, maybe taking a little gentle back bend. And exhale, diving all the way down to the mat. Inhale, half lift. And exhale to fold, stepping back into our high plank. And let's get our high plank into the right alignment. So our shoulders are above our wrists. There's a tuck of the tailbone so that our bum's not up too high. And we're doming through the shoulders, so really pushing through those hands. Gaze is at the top of the mat so the neck is straight. And lower belly draws in. One more breath here. And exhale, knees come to the mat, untuck the toes, and lowering all the way down to the mat. Hands come back in line with our ribs, lower ribs. Elbows tuck back so our shoulder blades are pinching, and plugging those toenails into the mat. Breath in, baby cobra, and exhale to release. Breath in, baby cobra, and exhale, coming back down. One more. And exhale to release. Let's tuck back into our child's pose, knees wide, big toes to touch. And maybe just massaging out through your forehead by rocking it from side to side on the mat. Let's tuck those toes and push back up to our downward facing dog. And breath in, right leg lifts. And exhale, peel open the hip, bending at the knee, taking that heel towards the butt. On your next exhale, bringing that left, or the right foot should I say, in to sit behind the right wrist. So the toes are just touching the right wrist. We're going to take our left foot out to 45 degrees as we stand up into our warrior one. And thinking about taking those hips to face the front of the mat. So really drawing this right hip back, left hip forward. And there's this stretching out of the mat, so both legs are engaged. Hands come back down to the mat. And we're stepping back to our high plank, knees on or off this time, lower chaturanga. Inhale to up dog and exhale back to our down dog. Breath in, left leg lifts, and we're peeling open that hip, bending at the knee. Making sure that we're not dumping too much weight into that right shoulder, so our shoulders are level. And on the next exhale, left toes come behind the left wrist as we set up for our warrior one. Right foot turns out and we rise strong. Hips are square to the front of the mat, and it can be a bit helpful for some of you if it's hard for you to turn those hips forward, to take a wider stance, sort of like you're standing on train tracks, which is what I tend to do because I find it quite difficult to get my hips facing the front. Legs are engaged. And exhale, hands come back to the mat. Stepping back to our high plank, let's lower into up dog and back into down dog. Taking a few breaths here in down dog. Breath in, bend your knees, exhale, pull up through the belly, and either step, walk, or jump to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift, hands can come to shins, and exhale to fold. Sitting back into our chair pose, Utkatasana, hands sweep up and overhead. Belly draws in. Hands come to heart center. And if your feet aren't hip width, it might be useful to just heel toe them out to hip width here. We're going to really draw that lower belly in and up, find a point on the ground or in front of you that isn't moving, and we're going to come up onto our tippy toes. We're not here for long, so holding just for a breath before we lower slowly all the way down to our heels, and we're going to sit back into Navasana, our boat pose. So in boat, we've got a few options. I'm just going to rearrange my bum on the mat. You can take clasp at the back of the legs here so that you're in this supported boat, or you can have your arms extended in front, and other options include keeping those legs straight, which is very difficult for me at the moment. So I'm going to keep them here, bent in our supported boat actually. And I want you to think about keeping that chest nice and proud. So shoulders roll back, belly draws in, and our legs are really gluing together. Two more breaths, you can do it. And crossing over at the ankles, let's just come back over to our tabletop. Breath in, belly dips, gaze comes up, and exhale to tuck everything under. Coming back to neutral, we'll come through a few rounds of our bird dog. So this time our left leg extends, that glute is engaged, right arm extends in front of us like we're shaking someone's hand. Exhale, elbow comes to knee, and inhale to extend. Exhale, elbow to knee, and inhale to extend. Once more, elbow to knee, and inhale to extend. Right hand comes back to the mat, and we're either resting here for a moment with the left leg extended, or we're going to try and take that left leg out to the side. So it's like our left leg is kind of like a dog's leg, like we're peeing on a fire hydrant, but we're not bending that knee. And let's bring it back and knee to the mat. Whew, that was a little bit hard. Let's just flush that out with a round of cat-cow. Breath in to dip the belly. And exhale to tuck everything under. Coming back to neutral, right leg extends this time. Right toes are flexed, left arm in front. Belly draws in. And exhale, elbow to knee, tucking everything under. Inhale to extend. And exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale to extend. Once more, elbow to knee. Inhale to extend. Left hand comes down. Right foot is still pointing out back behind us. And we're either staying here or we're going to try and bring that right leg out to the side. Hopefully you've got room at home. I've got plenty of room out here. And hold. And then taking it back. Right knee comes to the mat. Let's tuck those toes and push back into our downward facing dog. Maybe taking another little pedal of those feet, or you can settle straight into stillness. Settling into stillness if you haven't already. Breath in, right leg lifts to the sky. Exhale, peel open that hip, bending the knee. On the exhale, right knee taps right elbow. Inhale, shoot it back. Right knee to chest. And let's step that foot between the hands, dropping the back knee, low lunge. Left glute is engaged. And on the exhale, left arm comes forward, right arm goes back, coming into our twist. If you need some more stability here, you can tuck the back toes. And maybe taking your gaze back to those right fingertips to test that balance. On the next exhale, the right hand slides down the back of the left thigh. Left hand comes up as we exalt our shape. And inhale, leaning forward, hooking the left elbow around the right knee, coming into a twist. Using that connection between the left elbow and the right knee to really lever yourself open. So we're working to take the prayer to roughly the center of our chest. Tucking the back toes if they're not already. We're going to straighten through that back leg so that we come into our high twisted lunge. Maybe taking your gaze down to the mat for extra stability. And just for one quick little moment, we're going to lower that left knee to the mat just to kiss it. And then straighten back into our high twisted lunge. Let's unravel the arms and come up to our high crescent lunge. And straighten through that front leg. Setting up for our pyramid. You can have one of two options here. So you can stay high on the back left toes like I am, which is going to test your balance. Or you can step that foot in at the slight angle and take the more traditional pyramid stance. Whichever one it is, select that. And then we're going to hinge at the hips as we come down into our pyramid pose. So fingertips come down to the mat or to blocks. And if you can't reach that mat, take a bend through that front leg, any amount. But we're really working to draw the right hip crease back, left hip crease forward. Inhale, bending through the front knee into our high runner's lunge. We're on our fingertips, chest beams forward. And exhale, straightening back through that leg into pyramid. Once again, inhale, heart beams forward, runner's lunge. And exhale back to pyramid. Inhale, runner's lunge. And exhale, pyramid. Let's hold that pyramid once again. Inhale, half lift. And exhale to fold maybe a little deeper. Oh, getting bitten by something out here. We're going to come back into our runner's lunge. Hands plant on the mat as we step back into our three-legged dog. Now either taking the right sole of the foot back to the mat and taking a normal flow, waiting in down dog, or maybe taking a three-legged vinyasa flow. Inhale, ripple forward, high plank, lower chaturanga. Inhale to up dog or baby cobra. And exhale, sends the hips back to down dog. And breath in, left leg lifts. And exhale, peeling open that hip, bending the knee. On the next exhale, left knee, taps left elbow, hold. Inhale, shoot it back. Left knee to chest. And let's step through for our low lunge. Arms reach up. Right glute is engaged. And the exhale sees right hand forward, left hand back into the twist. Maybe tucking those back toes for extra stability. Engaging the right glute. Perhaps you take the gaze back to the left fingertips. And the inhale sees the left hand reach for the back of the right thigh. Right arm reaches up to the sky. And exhale, right elbow hooks around the left thigh, coming into our twist. Hands to prayer. And tucking the back toes if they're not already, so that we can straighten through that back leg, lifting up into our high twisted lunge. Back leg is strong. And just for one moment, we're going to slowly lower that right knee to kiss the mat and then come back to our high twisted lunge. Unraveling from the arms, high crescent lunge, arms reach up and overhead. And we're going to straighten through that front leg, getting ready for our pyramid. Remembering our options, we can stay high on the back toes, or we can step that foot in to a more traditional pyramid stance, which is toes at 45 degrees. And hinging at the hips, folding down to the mat when you're ready. And remembering you can have as much of a bend through that front leg as you like. But I want you to really concentrate on bringing the right hip forward, left hip back. Breath in, bend through the knee, runner's lunge. And exhale back to pyramid. Inhale, runner's lunge. And exhale, straightening back through that front leg, pyramid. Inhale, runner's lunge. And exhale back to our pyramid. This time bending back through that knee to our runner's lunge, hands plant, and left leg lifts up to the sky. And either taking a three-legged flow, taking the sole of the foot to the mat, taking a normal flow, or waiting in down dog. Breath in, ripple forward, high plank. Lower chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. And exhale back to our down dog. Maybe we take the knees down to the mat and rest in child's pose, or taking 5 breaths in down dog, or perhaps even stopping for a moment and having a quick drink like I'm going to do. It's getting quite warm out here. And if you're in down dog, getting ready to press back up, if you're in child's pose, getting ready to press back up into our down dog. So everyone on the mat in down dog, if you're going to continue flowing with us. Breath in, right leg lifts. And exhale, knee comes to the chest. Let's step through for our high crescent lunge. Arms raise up. Straightening through that front leg, staying high on the back foot this time. We're going to exhale, hinge at the hips, coming down to the mat for our pyramid. And bending back through that knee now, we're going to come back up to our high crescent lunge. Hands come to heart center. And maybe stepping that back foot in a little bit to shorten the stance. What I want you to think about doing is to shift that weight forward into the right foot so that the back foot becomes so light that maybe in one step or a few steps, we just lift that left foot off and come into our warrior 3. So in warrior 3, we want to think about keeping both hips pointing down. Left toes are flexed and the left glute is really engaged. Belly draws in. Don't worry about wobbling. Hands can be at prayer. Or the other options, by your side, out in front to intensify. But I'm going to keep it easy and have my hands at prayer today. One more breath. And exhale, hands come to the mat, standing splits. So all of our standing splits are probably going to look very different, but we're taking that left leg as high as we can to the sky. And slowly, with control, left toes step back into our high runner's lunge. And exhale, hands come flat onto the mat as we step back to our downward facing dog. Breath in, ripple forward to high plank. Knees on or off lower, chaturanga. Into our up dog or baby cobra. And back to our down dog. Left leg lifts. And exhale, knee comes to the chest. Let's step through, rising strong to our high crescent lunge. And straightening through that front leg, hinging at the hips as we come down to the mat for our pyramid once again. Bending back through that front knee, using the power of our core to lift back up to our high crescent lunge. Hands come to heart center, Anjali Mudra. And we're setting up for our warrior 3. So taking weight forward into that left foot as the right toes become light and lift off of the mat. Right glute is engaged. Make sure you take that right hip down just a bit to face the mat. You have the different options with your arms, so feel free to take what suits you today. And exhale, hands come to the mat into our standing splits. Slowly, with control, let's lower the right toes back to the mat. And we're high on the fingertips, runner's lunge. Exhale, left foot steps back to meet the right, and back to our down dog. Taking one final flow for the practice. Inhale, ripple forward to high plank. Knees on or off lower, chaturanga. Inhale to up dog. And exhale back to down dog. We're going to simply either walk jump or step through to seated. And we're just going to come to a easy cross at the top of our mat. So right leg forward, left leg underneath, and maybe a little bit forward than what you'd normally have. So don't bring your ankles too tight in. We want a little bit of space. And we're going to sit up nice and tall and then walk our hands forward any amount coming into the fold. Coming back up to seated and just taking the hands behind you as we lean back and swap our legs over. So the opposite leg comes in front, sit up nice and tall, and then we're going to exhale, walk ourselves forward, coming into that fold. Making sure you release any tension in the head and neck and shoulders. Coming back up to seated. Let's take those hands back behind us again. Fingertips to face the top of the mat or towards our bottom really. Soles of the feet come to the mat, hip width apart. And we're going to come through just one round of reverse tabletop. So the breath in peels the tailbone up and off of the mat. Go away, fly, as we lift our hips up. I've got flies absolutely everywhere at the moment because I'm sweating up a storm. And exhale, lowering the butt back to the mat. Let's extend those legs long in front of us. As we slowly lower down to the mat, arms reaching out, and let's exhale, slowly rolling down one vertebrae at a time until we get all the way down to the mat. Hugging those knees into the chest, maybe a gentle rock from side to side. And then arms extend out to a T. Let's just drop those legs over to the left into a simple supine twist. And drawing those knees back through center, taking them over to the right this time. Making sure that the left shoulder is plugging down into the mat. Knees draw back up through center and giving yourself a little hug. Maybe coming through happy baby or legs straight up the wall. So taking whatever choice you'd like. I'm going to end with legs up. And it might even feel good to get your arms into that movement as well. So arms can be up, keeping the shoulders on the mat though. Maybe giving them a little jiggle. If you're in happy baby, maybe stretching out one leg at a time, just to stretch out through those hamstrings. And then lowering your feet back to the mat and getting ready for your Shavasana. So that might mean putting on some extra layers, depending on what the weather is like where you are. For me, it's rather hot. So I'm going to end in a seated meditation. But if you're coming into a seated position, then making sure your spine is nice and long and you're able to sit comfortably. In Shavasana, letting your legs extend long. And closing down the eyes. If you're in Shavasana, starting to bring some awareness back to the body, maybe wriggling through the fingers and the toes. Rolling onto your favourite side, tucking into a little ball before you push up into a seat. And trying to keep the eyes closed down in the process. Bringing your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Maybe taking a gentle bow of the head. Let's all take a deep breath in through the nose. Open the mouth and sigh it out. 2 more, breath in through the nose. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste. Hi Jess, you're still here keeping me company, are you? Thank you so much for joining me today. It's quite hot and sunny out here now. It was a bit cooler when I got started. I think Jess and I are going to go and find a shady spot to hang out in, aren't we, Jess? Thank you for practicing. Remember to hit subscribe if you enjoyed your yoga class with me today, and perhaps we can practice again in the future. And feel free to leave any comments or suggestions below. Send me an email. Maybe hit like. I'll see you soon. My name's Sarah DeBorre. Thank you. Bye.